Hello everybody, it's Michael Albany from Michael Albany Photography and michaelalbany.com. A lot of people who go on my website have a comment to make about James the Mystery Man. And James is actually the first image when you go out to michaelalbany.com that you'll see. And he's also in the portfolio under People. And if we click there and we go under our portfolio section of my People section of my portfolio site, we can see that James is actually the first image. And this is an image of James that I took about 1.5 years ago. And I applied some effects that I learned from Scott Kelby and over on PhotoshopUser.com. And what I did was I found an image that I took and did what's called the grunge look to it. Now, I'm a user of Photoshop Lightroom and Lightroom 2 and Photoshop CS4. And here's another image of James that was taken that same day. And I'm going to apply the same effects to this and show you how I came up with that effect. Again, I can't take full credit for it. It is Photoshop User and NAPP who actually gave me a little tutorial on grunge effects, and I applied that to this and tweaked it just a little bit. And basically what I do is I start with a well-exposed image. As you can see, we have a good shot of James here. And the first thing we do is we go into our develop module with the image, and in the develop module of Lightroom, we take our recovery and we crank that all the way up to 100, and we take our fill light and we crank it all the way up to 100, and we take our brightness and bring it all the way up to 100, and the contrast all the way up to 100, and we take our clarity and our vibrance all the way up to 100. Now we pretty much have an image that looks really, really bad. But what we're going to do is we're going to bring our saturation down as much as we can, down to about 75 or 80 there, and we still see that we're way overexposed. So we're going to bring our exposure down and bring that down so that the jacket's looking nice and dark. And there's some good shadow and shadowy contrast on James's face. Yeah, I'm thinking right about there is probably good. And our saturation's still a little heavy, so we're going to bring that down just a little bit more. And there, pretty much, you could stop there and have a very close look to what I did with James originally. However, what I do is I take it a step further and I go in and I edit this in Photoshop CS4. And we're going to edit a copy with the Lightroom adjustments so that we bring that over with all those little changes. And we'll enlarge that just a little bit for you. And we'll see that it's still a very contrasty image and it's really nice. But what we're going to do is first we're going to go in and we're going to go Filter, Sharpen, Unsharp Mask, and we're going to tweak this even more. Now you see how that really brings that up. Here's what we had before. And then we apply the unsharp mask and we really bring that out. And we have a lot of noise in James's jacket and the background and things, which is kind of taken away from him. You'll notice that from previously, our amount is set to 180. Our radius is set to about 5 to 5.5, 5.2 in this case. And our threshold's rather high at 11. Now, if you look at this and how it usually opens, you'll see that there's not a whole lot that has done when you start out. But by changing this, the amount to 180%, and let's bring that back up there. Oop, a little too far. 180. And then we'll bring our radius up to 5.5 and our threshold up to about 10 or 11. And we see that we have that nice, sharp, contrasty look. Again, before and after. Really gives pop to the eyes and pop to the image. But James is getting lost. Click OK to that. James is getting lost in the image itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and we're going to add a layer. New layer. And I really should use shortcut keys. And we're going to do the overlay. We're going to change our mode to overlay so that we can fill with overlay neutral color, 50% gray. And then what we're going to do is we're going to paint using our paintbrush tool and making sure our colors are set to default black and white with the black on top. And we're going to darken up areas of this image. We're just going to go in and paint here. I'm going to enlarge just a little bit. And we're just going to go in here and we're going to darken up this jacket just by painting over it. Probably the best tip I ever got in Photoshop was this overlay, because it really allows you to go in and quickly mask out a change to something. And we're just going to darken up the background as well, because we don't want that background to stand out any more than James does. Matter of fact, a little less would be best, so that James really gives it pop to this. You know, go around his nice smooth head. This is much easier to do, by the way, with someone who is bald. And I speak from experience, seeing I am bald. And we're just going to darken this up just a little bit. Almost done there. A little bit there. And now, when I do this, I usually have my brush set to an opacity of 33%. My flow is at about 100%. That way, if I want to go in, I can do little bits at a time. Because what's nice about Photoshop is it's only going to add 1/3 base, or a 33%, based on what's there already. So I'm never going to get to 100% darkening. I'm just going to add a shade or two to this. And in this case, I'm just going to do the frame again. I'm not going to do the rest of the background because I like how that grid pattern on the glass really pops out there. And there we go. And just a touch over here just to give it a little darkening. There we go. And it frames James pretty well. We'll go up here. I think we're going to do a little bit more right around this reflection in the glass of the fire escape that was across the street. And then if you ever overdo, what you can do is just slip over to white and change your brush size. And then you can clean up your area just a little bit too much. Shrink that down a little bit. You just go in and you can change it just like that if you wanted to. I'm going to undo that because I kind of like the way it looks. And there we have a nice sharp image of James. Now, one of the things that we also do, or I also do, is now I see it seems almost too dark. So I'm going to bring this into hue and saturation, and now I'm going to bring my saturation up just a touch, about to a +10. Let me bring this over so y'all can see that. I've taken that from 0. Just reset that to 0 for you. And I'm bringing that saturation up just a little bit till I see some warmth in his face. In this case, is about 30. And it gives just a little warmth to it, gives a little punch to this centerpiece here. And I like that. I think we're good with that. Leave that there. And jump back over here. And we're going to go back on that layer, that gray layer, because this area right here, this area in the middle is really, really dark. So we're going to shrink down our paintbrush to a nice small size. We're going to go flip back over to black. I'm going to really darken this little thing up a little bit here. And because that's really standing out to me. And that's all there is to it. Now you'll notice that we have another picture of James that looks quite similar to the first one we did of him. You'll see the original one here. There's the original James, and then the new James. And you can see they're very similar. I still need to go in and change that saturation layer just a little bit more. Bring it up just a touch. There we go. And it's a little more like, yep, that's a little bit more like James. And we can notice that we still have the same effects in the beard. It's a happy James. I want to thank everybody for listening, and I hope you want to try this tool out and this little technique. I think it can add some really interesting depth to your images, and especially your portraits, especially portraits of men with beards. Give it a try. If you like what you see, shoot me an email or make a comment on the website. I hope you're having a great day, and until next time, happy shooting.